Hi everybody, Lonna Lamb here. Welcome to my studio. We're going to paint this adorable snowman ornament today. He was a lot of fun, a lot of finger painting with this one. You're going to love it. You can grab the surface on my website, lonnalamb.com, and a free line drawing for this guy. You know I'm going to be using Deco Art Americana acrylic paints, so let's grab our supplies and let's get painting. Alright you guys, we're going to work on this ornament. This is a surface that I have on my website, a round ornament surface. It's about 4 3/4 inches high by 4, so the circle itself is about a 4-inch circle. I've painted both sides with my multi-purpose sealer using my damp 2-inch foam roller. And then after that I painted 2 coats of white. And then when while the second coat was still a little bit wet, I picked up some colonial blue and just went over it with one light coat of that. It kind of blended with the white a little bit and kind of gave this variegated background. It does not need to be a solid color because we're putting more colors on top of it, so that's why I don't want you to spend a lot of time on the background. We just want to get that subtle blue in the background, okay? So we're going to create a really pretty sky here, I think. We're going to use Atmosphere. I think we're going to try and use that one, and After Dark. These are 2 new colors, 40th anniversary colors from Deco Art, and I haven't used these colors yet. So we're going to use these colors. I'm also going to put out some of my colonial blue that I used in the background. Now, if you don't have colonial blue, Williamsburg blue would be fine. You could get by with winter blue, but winter blue is a little bit lighter. And then I think I'm going to use this color on his scarf. His hat will be a black color. And then we'll put some black and white out. I'm going to try and limit the colors on this one and see how that works out. So white and some black. And then, of course, I'm going to spritz my palette with some water so I can have it. So we're going to start out with these colors first, creating a glow in the sky in the upper part of the background. So you can pre-dampen this if you would like to. We're just going to go right over our line drawing. I'm not going to worry about our line drawing. We want to kind of keep it light. So I'm going to, let's see if I can get this in the camera shot for you guys. I'm going to take this Atmosphere and some white and really thin it down with the water that's in my brush. And I'm going to start applying this over here. Like I said, don't worry about our snowman. I'm going to grab a little bit of that darker color, After Dark it's called. It's kind of this deep purple color, and we're going to put it over here. I'm letting some of that blue show through, and I want to go back to some of my, oops, that's way too much. Let me grab some white. There's a little something in there. Let's grab some more white. That's too blue for me, and we'll just kind of blend that in there. We want this kind of variegated background here in the sky. So laid in some paint. Now I just wiped my brush off. Let's just gently go back and forth across this and remove a little bit of that. Still want a little white over here. Just bring it down a little ways. I've got to get some of this moisture out of my brush because I'm just causing a little bit of a streaky mess here. I do want that to be maybe just a touch darker, but we'll see. So I think I'll go ahead and rinse my brush out. I don't want those purples in there. I want some white and just a tiny touch of my colonial blue, and we're going to go ahead and put some of this down in here. Don't worry about getting it on your snowman, okay? We're not, just pretend it's not there. I'm going to build a couple of layers of this out in here. And just kind of play with it in there. I think I'll take a little bit of this green blue. I think I might have to get, actually, maybe a little bit of a teal color. I don't know, that looks pretty good. Go back to my white and blue mix here. So this is just kind of playing around with our background, creating just some fun stuff in it, okay? We're not really worrying about exactly what we're doing here. We're just kind of putting some stuff in here. Pat it with your finger, blend it out, soften it out, create some lighter layers. I think I will quickly dry this because I want to get a little bit of a lighter white in here. I don't want you to think too much about the background. I just want you to kind of play with it and put some in. I'm going to grab a smaller brush this time. And we're going to go with some white, just straight white. And put some of this over here. Just kind of scumble it in there. We do want it to have a little bit of some different texture. We can go back over here and add some in here. Just put some in with your finger and kind of tap it around. Let's try and build a little bit of some layers in here. Okay, this side over here looks pretty good. I think I might take some of this up into the sky a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm going to tap that, get that extra off of there, and then just come back in here and let's just create some few layers. I want to put some of that green still in here, just to bring that up a little bit. Let's bring some down here. Just scumble it in. I'm not putting very much on my brush. My brush is more dry than it is wet. A pretty teal would look nice in here too. I'm going to get a tiny bit of black in with that green. Oops, wrong way. And I'll just create a little bit of a distant stuff going on there. Now, I know it looks super rough and almost complicated, but it really is just trying not to think too much about how you're doing it. Just put some in there. And this right here we want brighter. Okay, I'm just going to blur that out down there. And then I'll blur it out a little bit on the top here. A little bit more opacity over here and up through here. Okay. A little dry brushy through there. Down here we'll put just a little bit of white. We're working on the background, not working on the snowman. Okay, taking that very light purple there. More purple. Okay, that's way too much. Let me get some moisture in my brush. I want to bring some of that purple in there, and then I want some of that darker purple back in here. I just want a little bit. Scumble, scumble, blend with your finger. That's going to make it the easiest. Okay, so we've got some nice little layers going on there. Okay, now for, we want to do a little bit more in the background, so let's make some distant trees back in there. We can use the black and the purpley color or the green, it doesn't matter, just mix some colors. You know, this is going to be distant stuff. And so back in here we'll just put some little looks of some tree stuff going on. And we'll put a few back over in here. Okay, it's just a little bit of something going on. We're going to make a bigger puddle here of all those colors. And I might need a bigger brush. Save that one for I'm going to put a bigger tree in here. Moisture in my brush. Take it all the way up off of the top of the edge there. Let's make the trunk fatter. Okay, we'll add some branches. Let me mix some more. This is the black, the purple, and the green. I think I will use my detail brush to get some of those okay, this one's not going to be quite as big as that one, so it doesn't need to be as bold either, and I think we'll put another one right beside it, but we'll take this one up taller. And I'll come back with my detail brush to add some stuff in here. Okay, let's get a little bit of white and see if we can do some highlighting on this tree. And this one that we can just see a little tiny bit of, and we'll put some on this one. I'm going to leave the topper the color that it is, and I'm just going to shade and highlight on that as we go. I'm going to grab an old little scruffy brush here. First, let me put some thinner branches on this. Okay, we'll put a few thinner ones over here. Okay, we don't need a whole lot. Don't need a whole lot. I'm going to take my white. I'm using this brush dry. And I'm going to tap in a little snow back in here. I'm going to bring a little bit of it forward. Create that little bit of a horizon line back there. And this will push our trees back a little bit. probably do some splattering on this as well. If you want to, let me wipe some of the paint out. We can kind of scumble in a little bit more. Look at some clouds up in the sky. This is optional because if you're happy with your background, I wouldn't worry about messing with it any. And I can't quite see the height of, oh, I can barely see the height of his hat there. So I think for now we're going to be done with the background until we add some final details at the end, but that gives us a really cute little background to start with. Lots of fun. I think the sky turned out really cute. So let's add some base colors in here. So for his hat, I want to make it a dark gray or a medium gray, some kind of gray. So let's see if I can see my lines here. I can see the edge of the hat here. Looks like it comes across here. Okay, I might have to get my easel out now and be able to paint a little bit easier for you guys. Plus a bigger brush. I grabbed the smallest little round brush I had laying here, and probably not the best option. So let me just finish painting in this upper part of the hat. And I'm going to grab my easel and my bigger brush to finish this hat out. Okay, got it up on the easel. Let me make some more paint here. Might have to lighten it just a little bit. I think that color that I've got is a little bit too dark up there. So let's go a little bit lighter down here. And then I'll change that up there with my second coat. Colors of this will be listed on the line drawing that I'm using. Not a huge assortment of colors. Okay, we've got that hat kind of based in with some gray. Let's base his scarf in, and I'm going to take this green color that I got and some white. And I'm going to tone it with a little bit of that purple. See if I like this color. I think when we shade on this, this will be really nice. And let's see, the scarf comes around the face quite a bit. It's a pretty chunky scarf. Part of the scarf that comes over here. Okay, that's a first layer. Let's put a first layer on the snowman. And we're going to make a very, very light gray here to start out with the snowman. Don't worry about the eyes and the carrot nose and the mouth and all that stuff. We can put that back in. Now we're painting over this kind of purpley color, so it's going to tone that a little bit. And then down here on our snowman, let's do that light gray. Again, don't worry about the buttons, all that stuff. don't know why I'm grabbing all my small brushes today, but I could use a bigger one here. White and a little bit of black. Oh, that's way too much black. Add more white in there. This needs to be a super soft gray. Now, I'm not planning on putting arms on the snowman. I don't know, that could change. But right now, I don't have any plans to do that. But if you want arms on yours, this face was very, very wet, I think. The paint was very wet. We want it to be this light gray color, so when we come back and add white on top of it, it's going to stand out a little bit more. So let's get it dry. And I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush. Definitely need a bigger brush here. That was just a little 4 flat, so I'm going to go to a, you can go up to a 6 or an 8 flat. I'm going to go to an 8 chisel. Has shorter bristles. And we're going to get some second coats on here. Okay, so our scarf was that mix of green, purple, and some white. This is probably not the exact same color, but we're going to go with it. Now I'm kind of painting over my lines. I can come back in and put them back in. I will for your benefit. So when you're painting, just be aware of where all your lines are. That's just a quick little layer on there. I'm not being too overly, I'm not being perfect at all. So, alright, let's take our white and a little bit of black, way too much black. Still way too much black. I just want this soft gray. Okay. That's looking pretty good. Let's give that a quick dry. Now when we do the snowman, we're not necessarily going to be doing a lot of traditional decorative painting. We're just going to kind of lay in some colors and then come back and see where we want to like float some color and all that stuff. So on my snowman, I want to get a little bit of that mix like we did here, which was the kind of green color, a little bit of purple, and some white. I'm just using a little bit of both. Okay, I removed all the excess paint from my brush because I want to be able to kind of blend this, and I don't want my brush to be overloaded. So we're going to put some up here. I'm going to pick up just white on the other edge of my brush, and then I could come in here and oops, try and stay out of my hat. Some of that white off there. It's kind of a lot of white there. So we're just creating a little bit of a shadowy look on here. Let's put a little bit over here. I'm not worried about the hat. We're going to add color to the hat, so let's not worry about it. Let's tap that, getting a nice little blended look there. We'll do the same thing down here. I've got that mix on the corner of my brush, and I've got some white. Now, if you struggle with doing quick wet blends, get some water and pre-dampen your area first, or use some extender. That will allow your paint to stay wet longer. So whatever color you decide to paint your scarf, that's the color I want you to use in the sky in the background, okay? So if you want a more teal or, you know, some other greenish color, then use that color. I'm going to go into some of this gray mix, add a little bit more black to it, so I can put some gray down here. And I'm going to soften that with my finger. We're getting some kind of soft, almost messy areas down here. We're going to be adding layer upon layer on this, so you know, if you need that extender, I just went and removed the paint off of my brush, picked up a little bit of water, but it was too much water. And now we'll just kind of tap blend. I don't want you to be perfect. This is not going to be a perfect snowman. We're not going for perfection here. I want to get a little bit more of that green mix. It's the green, the white, and the purple. And I think in this area I might lay just a little bit of moisture in there so I can work this a little bit quicker. I don't want this to dry as quickly. Grab me another brush with some white, because we're going to put some white in here. And now just very messily blend, blend, blend with your fingers. They are our quickest and easiest tools to use, so we might as well use them. Okay, I want to put a little bit of that grayish color up in here. And the snowman, I'm not sure which side I have that on. Okay, that looks pretty good for our first little messy layer on our snowman. Let's get a little bit of this blue, green color. I keep calling it blue, but it's a green. Okay, so that is looking super cute. I'm going to go up to the hat and just continue with this brush and just load some loose white on it. And I'm just going to dry brush on the hat. And go along the hat rim. get this little edge here. I might have to get a smaller brush to do that. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that. I think I'll go with a little bit of both of the purples into my dirty brush with still that white in there. And we'll put some of this, maybe just a little bit more of the dark. Okay, then I want some of that green that we're using in the design. And I want to put some of that in here. Okay, and then this edge is just going to get some black. So I just picked it up on the corner of my dirty brush. This is all just kind of wet on wet, messy, messy painting, okay? I don't want you to overthink anything. I know sometimes it's hard for us to do the quick paintings. So let's put some black along underneath here. I'm just still using that same brush that I put black up there with. I'm going to put a little bit of black along this inside edge here. Get a little bit of water, not too much. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I want to take my little round brush and lighten up that hat band. This is still just dry brushy. Okay, probably a little bit more of a dry brush of some white up there on that edge of the hat, and we can move on. So I'm just going to corner load so I can just put a little bit of it over here to just brighten. Over there, I think that looks good. Okay, we're probably going to do some other stuff to that hat, but right now we're going to go back down to the snowman. I kind of want to get him mostly done. So first I'm going to take some white. I think I will apply some extender water on here. This is going to help us have a little bit more open time. This is just my extender water mix. I do sell a set of this on my website. So let's put some white in here. And we're going to go ahead and put white down here while this is wet. I'm putting it in all the areas where I want to see more bright color. Okay? Then I'm going to take that mix, that green mix, which was green and purple, and a little white. And we'll put some of that back up here, and here, and here. And let's put some in here. Is that white? Okay, I'm just going to start tapping this and blending it with my finger. My finger's going to keep it softer. Okay, I'm going to go into a little bit of black and white. Get that gray color that we put down here. And let's just blend that out. really like how his body is looking. I need a little bit more of that kind of greenish color in through here. Maybe a little bit more of the green in it. Okay, not too worried about the shape actually, because we're going to be this one a little bit darker back in there. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of moisture with this dark mix that I have on my brush. I'm just going to bring it out past the snowman and create some little shadowy areas out in there where we can put some stuff. Okay, a little bit of this gray. Let me get some moisture in my brush so I can dampen the paint that's in there. White, tap, 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 blend, blend, blend. Okay, so now I need to darken underneath the scarf, and for this I am going to do actual floating. Okay, so I'm going to take my black, and I'm going to put a little bit of purple in there, I think. Make it not quite so black black. And we're going to go right next to our scarf here. And here it's going to be darker. And we'll put a little bit of darkness underneath this. Okay, start creating a little bit of shadows. We do want a little bit of this up here. Just a kiss of it. This corner is really in the shadows, so we want to just give a little kiss there. Clean up this edge here. Okay, so I'm going to dry this because I want the last layer on the snowman, that I think is going to be the last layer, I could be wrong, to be more bright white. So I'm going to quickly dry this and make sure it's cool. I'm going to make sure all the other paints are out of my brush, all the other colors are out of it. I want to make sure no color is on my finger, so I'm going to clean that. Clean it off with a baby wipe, or just, use your paper towel, just as long as you get the color off. And let's grab some white paint. And we're going to tap some white paint in here. And then I'm going to just blend it with my fingers. Don't overplay with this, okay? You don't want it to get super sticky. Let's put some up here. I want this part of the face to be brighter. And you can use, you can keep this a wetter paint and use a mop brush to do all of this. But sometimes I just feel like our best tools are our fingers. Okay, so we got some nice light areas, some good texture on our snowman. we can start adding the facial details on our snowman now. I think he's turning out super cute. Alrighty, let's just take our black, and you can mix a little bit of that purpley color in with it. And we're going to create some eyes. I don't even know if this is where my eyes are on the line drawing. You can put the line drawing back on at this point. Try and keep his eyes close to the same. I do want them to look more like they are coal and not, you know, just painted on eyes, so irregular shapes is going to help. Oh, I didn't do very good down there, did I? Giving him a weird smile there. Just using a damp corner of the brush here to remove these ones in the center. You could use a Q-tip, baby wipe, whatever. I didn't do very good with putting those in there. Probably a detail brush would work best here. Alright, just give him a big smile. And then let's give him some coal buttons. You can make them actual buttons if you want to. Totally up to you. Okay, I do need to add a different color in here to get a color for his nose, because I don't have any kind of yellows or anything in here. I'm going to go with a burnt orange because it's a darker, a little bit more muted of an orange. And I can add a dark value to this very easily. So let's give him a nice carrot nose here. You can make his nose coal as well if you want to. I'm just giving him a fun little carrot nose. I will definitely be darkening that because we don't want that orange to be such a bright color in our painting, because we're going with more of these muted type colors. Okay, so let's give a little highlight on the eyes with some white. And we can highlight the buttons, or the coal things down here. The mouth can have a little, if you want to kiss, a little highlight on there. My little coal pieces for the mouth are not that big. So let's just quickly finish up this nose. So I'm going to take that burnt orange and add a little bit of black to it. And we're going to darken up the nose. I'm going to have to make it even darker than that. A little bit of white on the top edge. That looks better on the nose. Let's do just a quick little shading underneath these things with that green, purple, and white mix that we've done most of our shading with. This will be a soft enough color. Go under the eyes. Goodness, we've had birds hitting our windows like crazy. I gotta get some stickers and stick on my windows. We'll just do a little bit underneath the mouth. We want to make sure we can see this shadow, so don't make it so light you can't see it. And then this one down here could be just a touch darker. It's a subtle thing, but we still want to make sure that we see that little bit of shadow. I think I'm going to have to darken that just a scooch on the buttons down here. Okay, I think that's going to finish the snowman out. I'm going to finish his scarf before we go up and add our little decorations to the hat. So with our scarf, we're going to do that mix that we had, the purple, the green. I'll get my colors out. A little bit of white. And this time you can add just a scooch of black in there. Okay, so let me put my lines on here so you can kind of see. We've got scarf here. Line here, and then one here. And then this one comes over this way. We've got quite a few little wrinkles in this scarf. Actually, this needs to come up here. The right tool in the right hand. Okay, so this one goes here. That doesn't look right. I might have to put my line drawing back on here so I can tell where my lines are. This is a big one here. Alright, we'll go with that. See how that looks. I'll just paint dries on my thing here. Okay, we are floating these areas. Come back in with some of our color, so not to worry if you think this is taking over. I'm just right now establishing where our deeper values are. A lot of folds going in on this thing. Okay, so that's establishing our dark values. We will come in probably and darken those up. So now we want to take that green and some white and make a lighter value. And we're going to create our lighter edges. This is very dry brushy here. I'm not mostly just kind of scumbling it on here. I am just corner loading my brush, but I'm not like painting. See, I'm just kind of tapping and kind of pushing the paint where I want it to be. Okay, that scarf's got a lot of folds in it, and I know I missed one on this side over here, but we're going to come back and fix these areas. I want it super dark in a few of these areas. So I added more black to my mix. Okay, now this scarf you can make, I'm going to have to shade underneath the scarf here because I kind of lost the shape of it. Shade underneath on the snowman, and I don't like the shape of this at all, so we're going to change it by adjusting our shading. And then we need some shading here. Let's go ahead and put some stringers down here. So we're going to do the dark mix with the purple, the green, and a little bit of black. Okay, then we'll go with just the straight green. A detail brush would work good here as well. And then I'm going to get a little bit of white on my brush, and we'll do a highlight layer. Okay, let's highlight on the scarf with just some white. And then see, I may want to wash some of that. Again, this is loose. Okay, I'm going to dry that because I want to wash some of just the straight green color in a few places. So I'm taking that straight juniper green and making a wash. And then just putting it on the scarf in a few places. If I get too much, I'm going to tap it with my finger so I can lift it off of there quickly. So I think that is really cute on the scarf. I'm going to leave it at that point. Maybe just do one quick little highlight along here. Perk up a couple places. Alrighty. Okay, let's go finish the details on the hat. We're going to make a light gray with our black and white. I want it to be light enough we can see it once we paint it on there. And let's just add some little like leaves that maybe we think they're holly leaves. I don't know. We don't know what kind of leaves they are. We're just going to put some in here. Okay, just throw those in there. We're going to go down now, add a little bit more black into our brush to make a more medium gray. And I think I will use my detail liner up there, but down here, oh, it's going to have to be darker. I'm going to add some of that purple in there. Get some moisture in my brush. And we're going to create some grassy stuff going on down here, or try to anyway. Okay, that's super fat. We don't want super fat. We're going all different directions here. And let's do some over here. If you want them to be thinner, use a detail brush. Okay, we're just throwing some in here, some little twig things, and we can put some little, pieces of grass still left on here. Let's do a few of some of the light, maybe some leaves in here. Let's make them a little bit darker because I can't see those lighter ones. I guess it depends on where you're at. Okay, and then I think I'll put a few little like white dots for berries. We're going to add some snow on here, I think, so these white dots really aren't necessary. Let's go up and finish the hat. I'm going to grab my detail liner now, and then that darker gray that we made, we'll just put some little I'm going to try and put some little pine stuff coming here. This is all very loose, loose, loose. I don't want you to overthink it. On the hat part, you might have to add a little bit more of that lighter gray to get them to show up here. We're just going to kind of tap some of this dark. This is just a darker gray into the center. And just give the illusion of something going on there. We don't know what's going on up here. That part of the hat is not the focal point, so we don't want to get too caught up in it. I am going to add a few little white dots in here. Make it look like the center of, maybe it's a poinsettia. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. But it's looking good. I'm very happy with how this little guy has turned out. So now we're going to, well, let's finish the topper before we splatter. That way if we get some up there, we're just going to shade with some a washy black color. And I don't really know how this topper thing is supposed to look. Just don't really know for sure. I keep it mostly down here, I think. Give it a little highlight of some white. Alright, we'll just go with that. Alright, let me dry this, get it off of my easel. We're going to do a little splattering on this. I think we'll finish this off nicely. I think it looks super cute. But I do want to add that little bit of splatter. And get some fresh white paint out, because fresh paint is going to work best. Now, you do not have to do this step at all. You can leave it as it is. It does not have to be splattered at all. So, alright, let's see if I can get a little bit of splatter on there. Just thin some paint. Now I'm just splattering it on here. So that's why I said the white dots down there didn't matter. Alright, so any place that you don't want it, so you don't want extra splatter in the eyeballs, we can take those off. And any place else. I think every place else looks good though, so I'm not going to take any of that off. I think that finishes out super nicely. I'm very, very happy. This one came together super quickly. Not tons of decorative painting techniques on this, but still was a lot of fun, I think. Super fun with very minimal colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors. And I think it turned out super cute. So thanks so much for painting with me, you guys. Grab your free line drawing at lonnalamb.com. Has the list of paints and the brushes and everything that I used today. You can grab the surface at lonnalamb.com as well. And if it's the first 7 days of this video, please hit that hype button. As many of you as can hit it as possible. YouTube will push it out so more people can see my video. And please subscribe, please comment. Commenting helps a lot, and please share. And I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.